There's something coming this weekend. Donald Trump rallies are back. No, really, it's happening. And I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Nobody really does, but some people are curious, maybe a little bit afraid. So here is a question that was asked of the press secretary earlier this week.
Has anyone from the administration reached out to Governor DeWine or anyone in Ohio's government about the possibility of violence resulting from his return to the trail? And is there any concern that him going back out there and continuing to insist that the election is fraudulent and that he actually won could result in people being hurt or killed?
Obviously, we take the rhetoric of the former guy, as we like to say, quite seriously, as everyone should. But I don't have any readouts or calls with Governor DeWine. I will see if there's anything from our Homeland.
Okay, so I'm not super surprised that they don't have that. I think, look, Francesca, I'm a little bit worried about what will come of these. And by the way, there was a great question by a little squatch who says, a rally for what exactly? For him, basically, just for him. I'm not personally worried that there's going to be any more violence than there normally is at these, but I am still a little bit worried. What do you think? Do you have any expectations or fears?
I mean, I do think it does make sense to actually, consider these rallies, much like you would consider sort of a far right extremist white supremacist rally, which would mean the police would protect it heartily and make sure it had water and make sure that it was well fed and had like granola bars. So honestly, like, I don't know what we should do differently. Obviously, yeah, we should absolutely call the governor. We should see if they needed any support or any help, because Trump can just name any random town, hold a rally there, and a town can be completely ill-equipped to deal with the impact of what it means to have a Trump rally in your town, right? And it is serious. The other thing I'll say is, the question of Trump is back on the campaign trail. What are you gonna do? What campaign? Which one? Is he announcing? Is it 2020's campaign? That one's done.
Campaign.
Is it 2024? Has he announced yet? Like, I agree with your commenter. What is this for?
Well, technically, it's a campaign to make sure that the Delta variant of COVID gets a nice grasp on the American people. So he's going to be going town to town to help with that. Look, so devil's advocate, he is certainly going to be talking about the midterms. He's going to be, encouraging the defeat of the rhinos and all of that. So he certainly will be talking about candidates. I don't think he's going to do much of it, because that dude doesn't care about promoting anyone other than himself. Maybe if it's against one of his worst enemies, maybe. But the main reason I'm not concerned about violence initially, but long term, he has been sort of sidelined for the most part for close to 6 months. It's not to say that he's not getting his message out at all. He occasionally pops up on Newsmax or something like that. But there hasn't been much ability of his to really drive things. His appearances on TV don't seem to do that. It is possible that this might restart that. I don't know, but maybe with the crazy stuff he's gonna say, his attempt to drive right-wing narratives once again, it might get picked up by Fox, and his sort of unilateral control over the movement might become a little bit more real again after the longest break we've had since he started his campaign in 2015.
Yeah, they didn't cover his last rally, right? I mean, he did come back like 3 weeks ago, and Fox didn't even cover it. They aired a rerun of Jesse Waters. So it had to be bad if they're running that on top of it. Like, it is unclear if the Republican Party and the right in general is doing just a fine enough job promoting fascist, racist ideas without Donald Trump now, and whether they see him at this point pretty early in the midterms and obviously early in any kind of presidential run as a distraction that maybe is actually a bad look. I mean, that is more harmful to them than helpful to their movement. Sure, they'll air his rallies when it becomes helpful, but maybe not until then.
That's not a bad point. Like, they didn't need Trump to get people worked up over Mr. Potato Head or Dr. Seuss. critical race theory. Like he has chimed in on that, but he wasn't necessary for that. And look, he did way back when he was president in the early bit where they weren't as worked up. He did talk about it a little bit, but they largely did that without him. Have they outgrown him? And if so, will they discover that? I wonder. That's interesting.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.